This is EcoTEC's EcoTEC Roundup show from Aotearoa's first and only climate-positive certified renewable electricity provider. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to electric vehicles in Aotearoa. Switch today at ecotecity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup of news to the world of clean cars and green energy. Thanks for joining me. Nearly 2 years after its European market debut, Volkswagen has officially confirmed specs and pricing for the North American launch of the Volkswagen ID. Buzz. Unlike Europe, where it's available in both short and long wheelbase versions, the North American market will get only the long wheelbase version, with a total of 3 different trim levels available at launch. At the entry-level end, with rear-wheel drive and seating for 7, is the ID. Buzz Pro S, with an MSRP of just shy of $60,000 and an EPA range of 234 miles or 377 kilometres from a 91 kilowatt-hour usable battery pack. Adding all-wheel drive reduces range and increases price, and the most expensive variant tops the scales at nearly $70,000. That's not exactly in the spirit of the original Volkswagen bus, unfortunately. The US National Transportation Safety Board has officially opened an investigation into a Tesla Semi which crashed and caught fire early on Monday morning, closing an interstate for nearly 16 hours. According to the reports, the truck was being driven along Interstate I-80 in California near the border with Nevada when it lost control and crashed into the trees around 3 a.m. local time. While the cause of the collision is not yet known, the impact caused the Tesla Semi's battery pack to ignite. It was not towing a trailer at the time of the incident. Police are investigating the cause, and as of the time of writing and filming, we don't have an official statement yet from Tesla. While it's fair to note that diesel big rig fires are far more common, not mentioning it in this week's show would have drawn as much ire as covering it, and since we cover news in the industry, this felt like an appropriate story to include. When we know more, we will of course share. Fear of battery fires involving EVs and hybrid vehicles has led Zurich Insurance Group, one of the largest property and casualty insurance providers for auto dealers, to issue new guidelines pertaining to risk mitigation. Midweek, it published a loss prevention bulletin for customers that calls for dealerships who sell and service EVs to make additional steps, including isolating stalls for technicians to work in when servicing EVs, separated by a fire barrier with a 1-hour rating. It also expects dealerships to use same-day shipping to send old and defective battery packs removed from vehicles back to the manufacturer, and it says that batteries, even new ones, should be stored away from a dealership's primary facilities. There are other recommendations too from the list. It's clear that Zurich is hinting that if dealers don't follow its guidelines, prices for coverage might start going up a lot. As the US presidential election nears ever closer, we're seeing Republicans lean into FUD about EVs, talking on old stereotypes and downright lies about everything from safety to range and charging infrastructure. One piece of FUD doing the rounds right now is the claim that President Joe Biden's administration has spent $9 billion to build just 8 electric vehicle charging stations, and thus it would then cost $10 trillion to build EV charging nationwide. That is patently false, but the FUD seems to stem from the news coverage earlier this year that noted that while the White House had earmarked $7.5 billion for EV charging, only a handful of stations had been commissioned from those funds to date. However, as we have previously noted, the slow rollout of government funding for charging has been caused by red tape, often from unsupportive local or state governments. As is usually the case, context is queen. Having worked through its order list of people willing to buy more expensive Cybertruck variants, those with the money can now order and buy a Tesla Cybertruck with little to no weight. And that's having a dramatic effect on used Tesla Cybertruck prices, with used Tesla Cybertrucks finally dropping out of the realm of ridiculously expensive to around the same kind of price as a brand new one. Not only does it mean that those looking for a Cybertruck are more likely to buy new than used, but it also ends the need of Tesla to heavily penalise customers who are trying to flip their trucks for profit, and thus Tesla has removed the no resale clause from its purchase contract for new Cybertruck owners. And while there's still some discussion as if Tesla has officially removed its most affordable Cybertruck from sale indefinitely or not, you're still going to need about $100,000 to buy one, new or in fact used. An official investigation into the safety of robotaxis operated by GM's autonomous vehicle subsidiary Cruise has come to an end nearly 2 years after it began. In December 2022, NHTSA opened an investigation into Cruise robotaxis after 3 rear-end collisions involving its vehicles led to 2 different injuries, and its official closing of the investigation has led to Cruise agreeing with the agency to issue a recall of nearly 1,200 Cruise robotaxis to address hard braking. Cruise has stated in a statement that it doesn't agree with NHTSA's request for a recall, but agreed to the recall to close the investigation. A separate investigation involving NHTSA into accidents with pedestrians is still ongoing. Earlier this year, Cruise confirmed it would be killing the Ultium-based Origin robotaxi and instead focus on producing a robotaxi based on the upcoming next-generation Chevrolet Bolt EV. Can-Am officially unveiled its first foray into the world of electric motorcycles this week with the production version of the Can-Am Pulse and Can-Am Origin. We originally first saw the bikes a while back as prototypes, but now we know official pricing and specs, with the city-centric Can-Am Pulse offering 4 different riding modes and a range of up to 160 kilometres or 100 miles from its 8.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack. The more adventure-styled Can-Am Origin uses the same drivetrain and battery pack as its sibling, but manages 145 kilometres or 90 miles of range, meaning it's better suited to trail riding than long-distance travel. Price-wise, the Pulse and Origin start from just under $14,000 and $14,500 respectively. Not everyone likes the specs, but they look like great commuter bikes. I'd love to put them through their paces, so Can-Am, let's talk. For a while now, we've been expecting a 3-row, full-size electric SUV from Ford, likely based on the tech inside the F-150 Lightning, but this week, Ford confirmed once and for all that it's dead. It's all part of a revised electric vehicle plan from the brand that will see Ford keep its current electric vehicles in production, but delay the introduction of its promised mid-size electric truck, codenamed T3, until the second half of 2027, 18 months after Ford's originally planned debut of the same. It will now launch that model at the same time as a brand new full-size electric pickup truck. While Ford confirmed that it plans on continuing its Skunk Works development program to design and build new, lower-cost EVs, it's also expected to launch a new commercial van in a few years and increase its hybrid portfolio. It stated that it has multiple hybrid drivetrains currently in development. As the US presidential election draws near, we're starting to see significant worry boil as automakers like Ford and others trying to hedge their bets about the future. The biggest concern right now, as reported by Automotive News, is the prospect that current generous US federal tax incentives being offered to the auto industry, both in terms of customer purchase rebates and packages, also designed to encourage domestic manufacturing of EVs, will be gutted if former President Donald Trump regains a place in the White House. While candidate Trump has flip-flopped on EVs of late following an endorsement by Elon Musk, he has continued to bash the effectiveness of EVs on the campaign trail, and this week confirmed that he is in favour of repealing all incentives for EVs. And while this is a US story, the impacts of such a change would reverberate around the world, as most automakers design their vehicles for multiple markets. This means that it could be bad news for everyone. But as former President Obama said this week at the DNC, don't boo, vote. And finally for the segment, for a really long time, Tesla has dominated the EV sales market around the world, often selling more vehicles per month than its rivals combined in some markets. But new data from Europe shows that for the first time last month, while the Tesla Model Y remained at the top of the EV sales charts for individual models, selling 9,544 vehicles in July, down 16% year over year, the BMW brand sold 14,869 battery electric vehicles. That compares to Tesla's 14,561, Volkswagen's 12,213, and other brands below it. BMW's iX1, a model not sold in the US or Canada, was BMW's most popular model, followed quickly by the BMW i4 and BMW i5. Tesla's lead still exists if we consider year-to-date sales, but as with other markets, Tesla is quite quickly losing market share to other EV models. Before we get to the last two stories, I have a quick question. Are you in the market for a new electric car? If you are, and you live in Aotearoa, you should totally check out our very own buyer's guide at ecotricity.co.nz. It's packed with all the information you need to pick a car that's right for you and includes plenty of details about available vehicles, daily life with an EV, and so much more. So follow the link below and start your journey today. Waymo, the self-driving autonomous vehicle subsidiary of Alphabet, has been working on self-driving robotaxis for a really long time and can trace its history back to the very first self-driving Toyota Prius hybrids developed by its teams more than a decade ago. This week, it unveiled its 6th generation robotaxi, and in keeping with those before it, it's another plug-in vehicle. But unlike the plug-in Pacifica hybrid or the Jaguar I-Pace that followed it, Waymo's latest vehicle is designed and built in partnership with Chinese firm Zeekr. It features 13 cameras, 4 LiDAR sensors, 6 radars, and loads of external audio receivers, and Waymo says these new robotaxis, which are based on the Zeekr 009, can see up to 1/2 a kilometre away in a range of different weather conditions, regardless of the time of day. They're already operating in some cities, so let us know if you see one or end up riding in one. And finally, Tesla's Cybertruck has always had the air of a post-apocalyptic vehicle about it, and in fact that was one of the things that Tesla CEO Elon Musk heavily leaned into at its unveiling. But this week, Cybertruck got some dubious new credentials. First, over last weekend, Chechen warlord Ramazan Kadyrov, known for his human rights abuses and his connections to Vladimir Putin, posted an image of his latest toy, a Tesla Cybertruck which he claimed was given to him by Elon Musk, a truck which also now has a machine gun on it. And if that wasn't enough, the upfit arm of Tesla's specialist Unplugged Performance unveiled a new retrofit option in collaboration with Archimedes Defense that turns a Tesla Cybertruck into an actual, factual, quote, apocalypse-ready, go-anywhere, end quote, armoured truck. Ostensibly, it'll be available to law enforcement, military, and yes, even civilians with enough money. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to get a refund on this particular version of the timeline, please. If that's possible. And on that note, we are in fact done for the day. Before I go though, do make sure you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest in EV news from this channel. And if you haven't switched yet, it's high time to switch to Aotearoa's first and only climate positive certified renewable electricity provider. It is super easy to make that switch, and you'll help the nation wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean green power that will keep the land beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back next week as usual, and in the meantime, do check out other videos on this channel, including from the lovely Gavin Kiwi EV Shoebridge. So until next time, I'm Nikki Gordon Bloomfield. Have an amazing week. See you soon. Takite!